Hello, it's Heavy Haberdashery. Wings of Fire is a book series about dragons, which has 15 books in the mainline series, an entire new arc on the way, 2 Legends books, spin-off books, coloring books, graphic novels, short stories, you name it, and I love it. Each one of these books is overflowing with new dragon characters, and it continually introduces more. Naturally, of course, I want all of them as plushies for my shelf. So, welcome back to my challenge series of turning each of these characters into plush. This challenge is alphabetical. The designs are based off of book cover art, graphic novel art, descriptions, and a big helping of my opinion. And all my patterns are for free, so you can download them and make your own. So far we have made Albatross, Anemone, Auklet, Arctic, Blister, Blazeburn, Blue, Battlewinner, Calamity, Chameleon, Coral Clay, Clearsight, Cricket, and Electric Eel, Carnelian, Cliff, Ruby, Manslaughter, Hamper, Dusky, Darkstalker, Dune, the 32 Unnamed Seeming Princes, Dragon the Cat, Fatespeaker, Flame, Ochre, Viper, Squid, Freedom, Fathom, Indigo, Blob, Glory, and Silver, Tau, Cobra, Lily, Peacemaker, Grandeur, Mink, Glacier, Hazel, Meowsea, Maelstrom, and an army of skywings, and of course Hawthorn and his Dragonbite Vipers. That's quite a lot now. I mean, look at my shelf arrangement. But if there's a character you desperately want on the list for whom it seems dimly unlikely that I will ever make into a plushie in the mainline challenge because there's 400 characters, cough cough, losers and several things which are not even dragons, then you can vote for them in the comments section of these videos and I will tally your votes on these here sheets. At the next wild round, which occurs every time I have only a few or no characters for a letter, or as it were, whenever I feel like it, I will be making the top voted for character on this list into a plushie. Anyways, now it's time for the main event, the continuation of the H category of dragons, Hailstorm. Now, Hailstorm is an icewing, and usually I would complain about how difficult it is to tell these extremely unspecial snowflakes apart from one another, but today that is not necessary, because here's your big fat spoiler warning for Book 7 of Wings of Fire. I'm going to spoil some major plot twists for that story in about 3 seconds. Okay, Hailstorm is, via Animus Enchanted Scroll Piece, turned into a skywing against his will. There you go. So this is actually 2 characters in one. Hailstorm on the left and Pyrite on the right. Okay, well, it's Hailstorm's right side and Pyrite's left, but from our perspective, whatever. I'm going to conjoin them a la Harvey Dent. Let's go! Hailstorm is Winter's brother, a prince of the Icewings and a nephew to Queen Glacier, in case you couldn't remember. He was captured by skywings during the War of Sandwing Succession. In fact, he was captured by Ruby, which is why I mentioned that she seemed a lot more callous in her earlier appearances in the Wings of Fire storyline, before seemingly her character was changed a bit to cut the skywings a break from insane tyrants. Upon being captured, Hailstorm was transformed into a skywing with a golden necklace which contained a portion of Darkstalker's cursed scroll, which held his animus magic outside of his body to protect his soul with the following enchantment. Before I say it actually, I realize that sentence is a little bit crazy if you haven't read Wings of Fire, which, surprisingly, a few of you have not. It's okay, you can fess up. This probably sounds like gobbledygook to you. But the enchantment is as follows. Enchant this paper so that when any dragon wears it in the form of a necklace, he or she shall fully become a female skywing named Pyrite with the following conditions. 1. Completely loyal to Queen Scarlet and the Skywing tribe. 2. Insecure and weak. 3. No memory of his or her former identity. And 4. Compelled to wear this necklace at all times with life or death urgency. This is used as a prison for Hailstorm for many years, driving him basically to the point of madness. Moonwatcher notes that inside Pyrite's head is a very shallow, repetitive chain of thoughts. I am completely loyal to Queen Scarlet. I'm not very good at anything. I'm glad to be a skywing. I'm clumsy and not very bright and generally useless. And then back to, I'm completely loyal to Queen Scarlet. Which is beyond the pale for torture in this universe, I think. Personally. And that's saying something, as there's on-page teeth-pulling, burning alive, starvation, and unethical experimentation in this book series. So yeah, it does kind of make you wonder what kind of mental torture is being undergone by a certain unnamed villain of Arc 2 who had this happen to them, but we'll come back to that. I suppose Arc 4 intends to reveal that to us to some degree. But in that enchantment, there isn't anything explicitly written that would save for the conditions, completely alter Pyrite's brain from just being a skywing named Pyrite into basically appearing concussed or severely brain damaged to Moonwatcher's mind reading. So we can either assume that those first two conditions, being loyal to Scarlet and insecure, are so powerful as to basically nuclear bomb Pyrite's brain into a hellish anxiety spiral which traps them eternally in a miserable dead end of a thought train, or there is something inherently wrong with altering another dragon's body and mind with animus magic, and the spell doesn't actually have enough power to entirely will into existence a new brain with its own complete set of memories and formative experiences, and little nuanced quirks and perspectives, which, yeah, there probably is something wrong about animus magicking a new dragon, and I will discuss that further very soon, actually. But I'd also like to see how Arc 4 handles that, if it handles it at all. Also, I want to mention how I made Pyrite's nose ring. It's technically only through one nostril, but that would have been on the Hailstorm side, and also I decided it looked goofy with only one. So I cut a strip of fabric, one of each half of the forehead colour, and used that to hold the nose ring in, rather than, actually piercing the plushie, because that might cause stuffing problems. If you want to give your dragons nose rings, I think using this simple technique is good enough, but if you want to make your dragon different colours per each side, well, doing that and learning how to drive is what really reveals to you that you don't know your lefts and rights. But to be frank, the pattern is backwards and inside out at that stage, so it's a bit tricky to position it out. Good luck if you end up going for it, and good luck if you end up making Hailstorm, because to me he seems like a completely depressing character suffering immense trauma. And it's unfortunate he hasn't actually been mentioned again since Darkness of Dragons, where he appears for 4 seconds fighting alongside the Icewing army against the Nightwings, who kill Winter and Hailstorm's father, Narwhal. I feel like a major character getting their parent murdered is something that shouldn't be glossed over as much, but this is Wings of Fire, stuff happens. But yeah, we don't really get to see much of his life or internal world, or struggle at all post-father murder and being freed from Pyrite. I'd like to see how he goes about interacting with skywings now he's felt that he used to be one of them, and many skywings are still hostile to icewings, including Eagle, a dragon Hailstorm as Pyrite claimed to know and be friends with. I'd also like to know about his perception of intertribal empathy now, since he was essentially tortured by the skywings by having his body and free will taken away from him, and yet by his own admission and perception, Pyrite had friends. She was treated well. Other skywings were kind to her, and Hailstorm still remembers those feelings, still remembers other dragons looking out for her. Hailstorm's mind was repressed or overridden in Pyrite's body, but not entirely, because Pyrite mentions recurring and strange dreams about snow, whenever she sleeps next to icewings or in the cold. And she has an unusual affinity for icewings, finding them to be soothing despite their position as the enemy during the recent War of Sandwing Succession. And if I may side-eye a certain small black dragon here whom, according to the author, will suffer strange and upsetting dreams he doesn't know how to deal with, I will indeed do that, because I am side-eyeing them, and in fact, the entire concept of the ethics of a magical transformation into another dragon's mind. Because being Pyrite seems like a torture and a punishment. It clearly completely messes up Hailstorm's brain, and he's probably going to end up fairly traumatized forever. Even when he's turned back into Hailstorm and returned to the Ice Palace, he's not as cheerful and confident as he once was. He's even willing to kill Winter for a while, in order to get his life back. He mentions even that he cannot determine which version of himself is real, Hailstorm or who he was as Pyrite. When I say she, I'm talking about Pyrite for the record. The plot mostly ignores the gender disparity involved in that, because dragons don't really care that much outside of specific scenarios where gender is brought up. And the two personalities have a different gender from one another. But if it gets confusing, then it's just a quirk. Anyways, as Pyrite, Hailstorm remembers killing other icewings for Queen Scarlet, as well as trying to see her every single day when she lived in the palace and feeling as if skywings were the best and most free tribe in the world, and believing it with her whole heart. Yep, killing other icewings, that gets glossed over. But Hailstorm seemingly feels very overwhelmed to be an Icewing again, stating he wants to go back to being Pyrite because it's easier, possibly because the scroll was having some of her own thoughts for her. And being an Icewing is pretty repressing. Hailstorm feels quite angry towards Winter for being the one who got him captured. Hailstorm sacrifices himself to make sure Winter escapes the confrontation with the skywings. And in doing so, he calls Winter useless, but thinks to himself he's saying whatever he needs to in order to have Winter survive. Which is why when Winter is moved into first place in the rankings and Hailstorm into last, Hailstorm challenges him to the Diamond Trial, which only one of them is able to return from. With full intent to kill his own brother, they undergo the trial. However, Hailstorm collapses, being unable to kill Winter out of love and loyalty, and being unable to do anything else because he had sacrificed himself for Winter once before, and it was the worst thing that ever happened to him. So with the fact in mind that Hailstorm does not actually have it in him to kill his own flesh and blood, I will not add any evil points. And also considering that the torture Hailstorm as Pyrite was suffering seems pretty extreme and his personality so different, I shall not include Pyrite's canonical but undescribed murder record in Hailstorm's evilness score. Nor will I count the fact that Winter mentions to Turtle that Hailstorm had a specialty in killing skywings because I think he might have been lying. Leaving Hailstorm with a 0 out of 10 for evilness. No comment on Pyrite, I have no idea how to classify that. And clearly, neither does the story, as Hailstorm is dropped like a hot potato into the general swill of insane animus magic war crime nonsense depressed side characters. And we can only hope, or I can only hope, he returns at a later date, perhaps in Arc 4 or a winglet, significantly more healed from his trauma, significantly more willing to talk to Winter, and having made some steps to talk to skywings and have intertribal friends, as I think that'd be helpful for his journey to recovery. So now he's done, and so is Pyrite as well. Kind of a double feature in one, even though Pyrite is technically a fake dragon. But if a fake dragon can think and feel, can we really declare it as fake? If Pyrite has thoughts separate to the dragon upon which the mask is placed over, is that the product of simply altering existing consciousness? Or does it entirely supplant the dragon for whom this necklace is being given? Is Pyrite in some way alive and autonomous with no concept of her fragile existence? If you remove the words any dragon in the enchantment and put it on a squirrel, would it I think you get the picture. My head hurts from this conundrum. I'm putting Hailstorm up on the shelf and calling it done, which incidentally is also what the books do to him, so neat. It's also time to punish Whirlpool before the Speedpaint and a very special announcement. Ooh, exciting. The votes from my Whirlpool Hate Club members, the most generous support tier on my Patreon, have come in to give Whirlpool a more permanent position in my room. Removable for punishments whilst otherwise hanging upside down by the tail from the ceiling. Strategically placed, of course, so that upon opening and closing of the door he is hit. Thank you to Bird Yegling, the Wait Zaranek Fluffle, Danielle Oliver, Phoenix Fire, That Dragon Toon Fuzz, and Ninja Kitty Awakens. Also thank all of you for 16,000 subscribers. Here's the very special announcement, and it's that I'm going to do a very special wild round when I reach 20,000 subscribers. Which won't be any of the characters on the lists, but instead it'll be one of you, the viewers' OCs. I'm going to do this and repeat it whenever, hopefully, we hit a multiple of 5,000 in subscriber numbers. And when it happens, I'll open submissions for subscribers to send me their OCs. And I will make the winners into plushies. So hopefully I'll see you for that. And now here's a Speedpaint warning, and a shout out to my Patreon members. Kimber, ADH Dream 1409, Kit, Samuel Sanchez, Mono Deer, Aninka Lamason, Grey, Phoenix Fire, I Like the Dumb Bunny Shrimp, Fennec is here, Poppy Willow, Indigo, Woilies, Fantasy, The Starving Child, Ninja Kitty Awakens, Caroline T, I Love My Fuzzy Kitten, Vanessa and Anara Burrows, Verla, Rhythm the Raptor, Aliana, Miffy, Victoria Toucan, Racing Wolf, Grey Malkin, Gato Catamoose, The Wait Zaranek Fluffle, Anonymous Running Dragon, Danger Noodles Are Cool, Aaron Donahue, Carol, Silly Rabbit, 87, The Ferris Rubber Duck, Celeste Tazza, Gordon Young, Stuffed Tails Fursuits, Connie, Nix, Hazel Williams, Keegan Evans, B, Crafty6809, Alex Allen, The Christmas Lady, Akariel, Bird Yegling, The Creature's Burrow, Danielle Oliver, Kayla Hedrick, Audrina Bailey, Meshtail, Salami Moth Danny, Cat Brain, Lots of Pizza, Elena Spivey, Sandra, Tea Party, Aspen, Cozy Wozy, Nika Fidowsi, Shadow, Harley, What's My Name, Mihir, Tommy, Copa, Archeron, Beef Stew, That Dragon Toon Fuzz, Sabretooth, Peter and Lee Studios, Ebony Cameron, and Ammon Nonza. Your wet sloppy dragon kiss is brought to you by Hailstorm and Pyrite. Watch out for the nose ring.